Israel launched a surprise airstrike on Lebanon. As Hezbollah rearmed, Israel initially waited but later launched an airstrike on Lebanon and reportedly deployed ground troops. Today, let's take a closer look at this topic. Let's get right into it. On November 6th, Israel conducted an airstrike on southern Lebanon. The Israeli military warned the area before bombing, allowing civilians to evacuate, then struck about an hour later. An Israeli airstrike killed one person and injured 9 others. Recently, Israeli airstrikes like these have been gradually increasing since early November, and it is expected that their scale will grow even larger. It's been just 7 days since November started, but there have already been 22 military operations in southern Lebanon. This includes the airstrikes I mentioned earlier, as well as ground bombardments, attacks on homes, and demolition operations. 8 people have been killed, 10 seriously injured, and 6 houses destroyed in these attacks. On October 30th, Israeli forces entered Lebanon, seized a city hall, and killed an employee. Tensions are rising. The Israeli military explained that Hezbollah was confirmed to have used the city hall building, and that they opened fire because there was an immediate threat inside the building. Lebanon countered that the person was simply a city hall duty employee. As Israeli airstrikes increased, new refugees appeared in southern Lebanon. As refugees moved north, traffic increased in each area, sometimes creating temporary chaos. Lebanon also suspended classes in Nabatayeh, southern Lebanon, starting the 7th. Nearly a year after the ceasefire, tensions remain high and armed clashes still erupt in the area. Many believe Israel's airstrikes on Lebanon are intensifying, raising concerns the ceasefire could be broken. Even after the ceasefire, Israel continued attacking Lebanon, citing a threat from Hezbollah as the reason. These concerns arise because airstrikes occur nearly every day. With civilian casualties occurring, the Lebanese government has begun protesting against Israel. President Joseph Bayon of Lebanon called the recent Israeli airstrikes a clear criminal act by Israel, according to the Lebanese state news agency. He demanded that Israel stop the airstrikes. Also, President Joseph Bayon's words and actions seem quite different from before. President Joseph Bayon of Lebanon said that Lebanon must protect its territory and the safety of its people against any incursion by Israel into its southern territory. Hezbollah said it remains committed to the ceasefire but reserves the right to resist Israeli occupation and will not be drawn into political negotiations with Israel. As Israel's airstrikes continue and civilian casualties rise, anger toward Israel is growing in Lebanon. That's understandable. The United Nations reports Israel continued airstrikes after the ceasefire. In Lebanon, hundreds, including more than 100 civilians, have died. As a result, the Lebanese people... Netanyahu, the prime minister, stated Israel will no longer tolerate southern Lebanon becoming a new front, showing a firm stance. He said Hezbollah, like Hamas, seeks to attack us with Iran's support, and we're fully ready to cut them off completely. Israeli Defense Minister Yisrael Katz warned that Hezbollah is playing with fire. He warned the Lebanese government not to delay and to promptly keep its promise to disarm. Military insiders suggested this airstrike could signal a larger future operation, not just serve as a warning. The Israeli military is already sending more troops to the Lebanese border. Some experts say Israel may use ground operations in addition to airstrikes if needed. Prime Minister Netanyahu's statements and military moves are heightening tensions, suggesting these may lead to real action rather than just pressure. Israel attacked Lebanon this time due to Hezbollah. Hezbollah was required to disarm under the ceasefire, but this didn't happen because they refused. The Lebanese government is strongly demanding Hezbollah's disarmament and has used the Lebanese army to act against armed groups and weapons in the south. It doesn't seem to be working well. Actually, it's understandable because Hezbollah is such an influential group in Lebanon, so it's not surprising that things are dragging on. Although Israel and the United States have repeatedly demanded Hezbollah's disarmament, Hezbollah has refused. Hezbollah refused to disarm, saying the ceasefire agreement didn't require it, which led Israel to take military action. Hezbollah claims the ceasefire doesn't mention their disarmament, but the agreement clearly says only the Lebanese army may have weapons in Lebanon. Hezbollah is being unreasonable here. The United Nations voiced deep concern about the escalating conflict, urging both sides to stop misjudging, resume communication, and avoid military action. The United Nations peacekeeping force in Lebanon said the airstrike clearly violates United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701 and urged an immediate ceasefire and renewed diplomatic talks. The United Nations emphasized that this region is in a dangerous situation where even a single misstep could lead to a full-scale war, stressing the need for immediate mediation efforts by the international community. President Trump of the United States is trying to stop this. The Trump administration is offering incentives to Hezbollah in an attempt to encourage them to disarm. Tom Barrack, the United States ambassador to Turkey and the White House's special envoy to Syria, who is a close aide to President Trump, stated that if Hezbollah disarms, cuts ties with Iran, and participates in developing southern Lebanon, oil-producing countries in the Middle East are willing to invest up to $10 billion, or about 14.5 trillion won. Unlike Israel's military approach to Hezbollah, this plan aims to persuade them with economic incentives. Since Middle Eastern countries act on the United States' behalf, not the United States directly, Hezbollah doesn't trust it much. The international community fears that if the situation persists, a new Middle East warfront could open in Lebanon, leading to bigger battles. Analysts say Israel's airstrike on Lebanon is hard to see as just a military response. They note this is linked to Prime Minister Netanyahu's political crisis. Prime Minister Netanyahu has faced strong public criticism over his corruption trial and the ongoing war. Here, the most effective way to shift public attention is by creating an external crisis. This pattern has repeated in Israel's history. They highlight security issues to unite the public when domestic opinion falters. Netanyahu has repeatedly said on Likud television that Israel's security is non-negotiable, stressing the legitimacy of the airstrikes. However, increasing internal criticism questions if this is the right time. There are concerns that external military actions could worsen instability while the economy stagnates and youth unemployment rises. Some media outlets even describe this airstrike as a political gamble. It may bring short-term military gains, but a full-scale war could become a political burden the Netanyahu administration can't handle. Analysts say Prime Minister Netanyahu's airstrike aims not only for military victory, but also to restore his strong leader image and deflect internal criticism. Public opinion polls in Israel showed a temporary rise in government approval after the airstrike. Meanwhile, civic groups are harshly criticizing the government for politically exploiting public anxiety. In this context, the situation has political implications beyond a military conflict. Meanwhile, Hezbollah's actions are also difficult to see as simply armed provocation. On the surface, they claim it's a defense against Israel's aggression, but if you look deeper, you can see Iran's strategic calculations at play. Hezbollah, Iran's main proxy, has been crucial in expanding Iran's Middle East influence. Especially now, as Iran is once again raising tensions with the United States, the proxy pressure campaign through Hezbollah can be seen as part of Iran's diplomatic strategy. Hezbollah's rearmament is seen by experts as a strategic move to draw Israel and the United States into negotiations, not just a military provocation. Iran is trying to draw the attention of the West and strengthen its own position by creating tension on the Lebanese border through Hezbollah while avoiding direct military conflict. Hezbollah's missile attacks and Israel's response are influenced by Iran's diplomatic strategy. This is a leverage strategy Iran uses to gain an edge in sanctions or nuclear talks with the West. In summary, Israel is widening external fronts to address its political crisis, while Hezbollah uses this to boost Iran's position and its own influence. This airstrike is more than a border dispute. It's a complex clash involving Netanyahu's political survival and Iran's diplomatic moves. Looking at the current situation in Lebanon, it seems like the conflict might escalate. I'm also curious about your thoughts, so please share them in the comments. That's all for this video, thank you.